So one of the biggest dangers of huge mega consolidation is just the eradication of competition and jobs. And we're actually seeing that from Microsoft after this Activision Blizzard merger went through, because Microsoft decided that they needed to lay off 1,900 employees despite being the second company in history to reach a $3 trillion market cap. We're going to talk all about this and what it means to you as a gamer and the industry here today. I'm Bobby with Direct Gaming, and we're going to be talking about this whole story with Microsoft laying off a ton of employees of Activision Blizzard, as well as some from Bethesda, Zenimax, and other studios under their leadership. So, if you enjoy this conversation, you want to discuss it with us, feel free to subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment down below. And if you don't enjoy this video, leave a dislike and let us know in the comments what we can do better to improve for next time. So, Microsoft decided to lay off 1,900 employees at Activision Blizzard primarily, but again, there are some teams that have been affected from other studios. But with this, there was a memo from Phil Spencer that went around. It was an internal memo that has been recovered. It says it's been a little over 3 months since the Activision Blizzard and King teams joined Microsoft. As we move forward in 2024, the leadership of Microsoft Gaming and Activision Blizzard is committed to aligning on a strategy and execution plan with sustainable business structure that will support the whole of our gaming business. Together, we've set priorities, identified areas of overlap, and ensured that we're all aligned on the best opportunities for growth. As part of this process, we've made the painful decision to reduce the size of our gaming workforce by approximately 1,900 roles out of the 22,000 people on our team. The gaming leadership team and I are committed to navigating this process as thoughtfully as possible. The people who are directly impacted by these reductions have all played an important part in the success of Activision Blizzard, Zenimax, and the Xbox teams, and they should be proud of everything that they've accomplished here. We're grateful for all of the creativity, passion, and dedication they have brought to our games, our players, and our colleagues. And we will provide our full support to those who are being impacted during this transition, including severance benefits informed by local employment laws. Those whose roles will be impacted will be notified, and we ask that you please treat your departing colleagues with the respect and compassion that is consistent with our values. Looking ahead, we will continue to invest in areas that will grow our business and support our strategy of bringing more games to more players around the world. Although this is a difficult moment for our team, I'm as confident as ever in your ability to create and nurture the games, stories, and worlds that bring players together. Phil. So that's kind of the corpo speak way of Phil Spencer saying, hey, we acquired too much and we don't want to pay for it. The whole thing with this acquisition is that a lot of us are saying they're going to want to see a return on that $70 billion investment as soon as possible. And what's the best way to do that? Cutting people. Now, Activision Blizzard, had a ton of employees, right? Obviously, maybe they don't need legal anymore. They don't need marketing anymore, right? But we're hearing things of like game devs being just let go. Toys from Bob apparently lost like 40% of their staff. Sledgehammer lost like 30% of their staff. So the teams that are even working on Call of Duty or Toys from Bob, who, people were hoping would make a new Crash or Spyro, those devs are losing people. And it's really just this big, just throwing people on the chopping block and trying to cut costs as low as possible. Now, a lot of people say, oh yeah, it's got to be redundancies. And Phil says overlap. And that's why I said, hey, legal marketing, cool. But things like customer service, which, Blizzard actually does have great customer service. Activision Blizzard, whether you like them or not, their customer service is always top notch. And apparently Microsoft has gutted that team and they're planning to outsource it. It's sounding like, from what we're hearing, that they have also been kind of aiming at full-time employees of Activision Blizzard. And the reason would be is because if you eliminate the full-time employees, then you can get new people in on contracts. And just like Microsoft, did with Bethesda and Arcane, they can then not pay those people benefits and get rid of them every few months. And that leads to kind of a worse quality in games, which is unfortunate. Now, Matt Booty, who is, I believe he is now the president of Microsoft Gaming, he did put out a statement that says, this is a difficult process, but it is one that will best enable Blizzard and Xbox to deliver ambitious games for our players on more platforms and in more places than ever before, which kind of aligns with, the idea that we've talked about, that Microsoft is kind of aiming to be like a third-party publisher. However, he's saying, hey, this is going to let us, and with Blizzard, like, make better games. Well, Blizzard was developing a survival game for the last, I believe, 6 years that now has been completely canceled, and that team is gone, right? I follow a number of Blizzard devs and things like that, and almost everyone that I follow is like, well, I was let go, probably because they were working on they were working on that survival game. I know devs who were working on Overwatch, which, I like Overwatch. I really do. I still enjoy it. I don't play it as much anymore, but I enjoyed Overwatch too. It's a fun time. Now that team apparently has lost about half their people. There was a dev from High Moon Studios, from what I've heard, who put out, a tweet, probably just, kind of in anger, going, yeah, like, my team is just basically gutted, and we were working on like levels for the next Call of Duty, so I don't know how we're going to make these levels now, which is absolutely wild. That means Call of Duty is going to see just this big decline in quality, because if you're one of those people who's still there, are you going to really feel good about putting your all into that? Or are you going to be like looking for another job, going, I don't want to be the next one on the chopping block, because it could be anybody at this point. And it's unfortunate, because Activision Blizzard, especially Blizzard, did have some good stuff they were trying to work on. And Activision, if you got them away from Call of Duty, they could make some really cool stuff. It's just whether or not the teams had the time. Now, there's other parts to this, right? We just talked about how Microsoft was a $3 trillion company, right? We also heard that Bobby Kotick got like tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars to leave the company, right? His golden parachute that everyone called it. It was just a ton of money, right? And we're probably seeing the same thing with Blizzard president Mike Ibarra. Well, now ex-Blizzard president, because he went out with the other people from Blizzard and said, hey, I'm done with this job now. And this is kind of weird, considering that, he was very adamant just a few months ago about, hey, I'm sticking with Blizzard. I believe in this. And, he was with Xbox for a long time. They put him in charge of Blizzard, and then he just kind of dips. And I don't know if he was forced out, or if, he saw that they were losing so many people and was like, well, I'm going to be out, because you might as well. So with all of this information, right, we've had so many things come out, right? The other part of this, right, that's really interesting, aside from losing the customer service, losing a lot of devs, right, again, probably losing marketing, legal, things like that, is that Microsoft is also apparently let go of the people responsible for making physical editions of games, which, if you know me, I like my physical games. If it's like a live service like Division or Destiny, I don't mind, because like once those servers go off, it's over anyway, right? But if it's like God of War, I want to buy it. If it's Spider-Man, I want to buy it. Right? Those are bad examples, because I got collector's editions that only came with digital, but I'll probably buy a disc later anyway, just in case, when they're like $20. I like having a physical disc. So if you're looking at these physical people, right, the people in charge of the physical media being let go, this kind of coincides with the idea that Xbox might be looking to go all digital sooner than later. Which is kind of weird, because they have been trying to make big pushes in Japan, and Japan is one of those countries where digital is not frowned upon, but people really prefer to buy physical there, right? You can ask Talent. He tells me that all the time. He's like, people like to buy their discs, their Switch cartridges. They like to have the thing in their hand. Me too. And I know, like, my brother, same thing. My other brother, get it, whatever. But like, I know a lot of people who love physical media, and now that Xbox is making that push, I feel like a lot of people are going to get turned off, right? If you go against the grain and try and push that hard into something that people aren't ready for, it's going to be like the last gen, right? The tweet from Derek Strickland: recent Xbox layoffs push the games industry closer to an all-digital future as Microsoft shuts down key part of Xbox's retail divisions. Digital has been on rise across Gen 8, with the exception of Nintendo, now dominates Gen 9. Which is true, maybe in America, but again, there's parts of Europe, Asia, really don't play all digital. They just don't. Mainly because, like, especially like Australia, I know Australia physical is a big deal because the infrastructure is pretty bad. And I assume it's the same thing for a lot of America too. So you want to make sure that if you're Xbox, you're not trying to push that too early, right? Because that's what they did last gen, and that's what cost them on the Xbox One. So many people were like, no, because gamers like to own their games, myself included, almost everyone I know. This information, this layoff situation has just gotten crazy because we just had Riot like a week ago let go of like 500 plus people. And now we're seeing Microsoft let go of almost 2,000, right? People who had to move across the country. People who, went back, Activision Blizzard, had a big return to office mandate that they made. So a ton of people moved from their remote job location, right? They may be living in the Midwest somewhere. They moved to Southern California, which is super duper expensive. I know, I live here. And they now don't have a job. And they're stranded basically because, it's going to cost them all of their severance to get everything together and move back home. And then they've got nothing. This situation is one of the dangers that a lot of people talked about with the acquisition. They said, hey, this could be problematic and it could cause lessening competition. I said, yeah, there's going to be layoffs. I knew there's going to be at least some redundancy layoffs. I didn't picture almost 2,000 people. I thought, probably going to see 150, 200 people at least get canned, right? But not too much more than that. But 1,900, this is just a vicious gutting and cost-cutting measure by Microsoft that, I don't know, makes me worry about the future because for them, I've been hoping that they pull through and make something decent and they can maybe turn things around for themselves, but I don't see them doing that if now people look and go, well, I wouldn't think about working for them. Look what they just did. They just let 2,000 people go just to, just so they can say, hey, we closed over 3 trillion. The profit is important. And it's really, really just a shame because most game devs actually do love what they do. And the suits, and I'm including like Satya Nadella and even Phil Spencer in that go, hey, you know what? You may love it and you may want to make the best possible product for people, but we're in it for the money. We want profit and we want revenue. And that's it. And if, you make us a game that doesn't perform, we're going to cut you. And if you make us a game that does perform, we're going to, cut you still, but you can put it on your resume, I guess. How are you going to feel good in an industry where this is happening constantly? Especially when one of the big companies lets go of this many people. I mean, we talked about it last year, how Bungie let go like 100 people, and that was just really upsetting. Letting go at 2,000. And just people who seem really talented, passionate, and loved what they were doing. That's scary. And I'm really hoping all those people can find something good and land on their feet because this industry chews people up and spits it out. I mean, I worked in the games industry for a couple years and it took me almost 10 years to even get back to doing like content creation as thinking of doing anything involved with games again, right? It took me 8 or 9 years. No, 8 years. It was about 8 years to get back to even doing content creation. Would I work in the industry? I don't know. But yeah, it's a scary time out there, especially, the last couple of years. We saw 10,000 layoffs about last year, and we're already at 6,000 this year. So, all those impacted, please do what you can. Stay in the business if you're really passionate about it. And, make the best of whatever you can make. And I do feel, I feel for you guys because I've been there and it hurts and you don't know what to do. So anyway, let me know what you think of this, of Microsoft letting go just so many people, especially, only 3 months after closing the Activision Blizzard deal and saying, hey, don't worry, we're not having any layoffs because of this. Because now it looks like they were just blowing smoke. Let us know what you think in the comments. Again, I'm Bobby with Direct Gaming. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope to see you soon.